Storm is bearing down on millions in the west. Blizzard warnings remain in effect. Some areas already buried under 7 feet of snow. More than 70 miles of I-80 remain closed. As many as 300 vehicles were stuck there this weekend. First responders checked car by car, making sure everyone was safe. This morning, an avalanche trapped several vehicles on Highway 50. Some quick-thinking crews were able to get everyone out, but travel is still next to impossible. Our weather team is standing by with the forecast, but first, ABC's Faith Abube leads us off from Truckee, California.
Tonight, new details of harrowing rescues at the height of the blizzard striking the Sierra Nevada mountains. Authorities say between 200 and 300 vehicles getting stuck along Interstate 80 Friday night amid blowing snow and wind. Officers going vehicle to vehicle.
We literally had to go one by one to start helping people out to get them off the hill,
including a mother and her baby who ran out of gas. This is part of the I-80 corridor that has been shut down since Friday night. You can see plow trucks have been consistently coming through almost every half hour. But as of this moment, conditions are still not ripe for reopening the road. This morning, an avalanche on Highway 50 trapping multiple vehicles. Luckily, everyone here is okay. Road conditions dicey all weekend, with officials discouraging all mountain travel. Even tow truck drivers like Cordell Greer getting stuck.
I was the rescuer, now I'm going to be the rescued.
This as high winds are fueling dangerous fire conditions in the heartland this weekend. The Smokehouse Creek fire already burning more than 1 million acres in Texas and in Oklahoma. Gusts there could reach 60 miles per hour amid dry conditions. And Lindsay, you can see behind me multiple vehicles still buried in a lot of snow. Here in Truckee, we've gotten between 5 to 7 feet. And there's a race now to clean up from this storm before the next system moves in tomorrow afternoon. Lindsay.
Just adding insult to injury there. Faith, thank you. Let's get right to ABC meteorologist Samara Theodore. Samara, sounds like the west is not out of the
system moves in tomorrow afternoon. Lindsay.
Just adding insult to injury there. Faith, thank you. Let's get right to ABC meteorologist Samara Theodore. Samara, sounds like the west is not out of the woods just yet.
That's right, Lindsay. They're not. What's left of this weekend snow is moving out tonight. And as Faith mentioned, the next round is moving in tomorrow, just in time for the work week. Let's go ahead and time it out. So take a look here. What you're seeing is the rest of this snow starting to taper off through tomorrow morning. The second round then moves in. It's going to be highly concentrated over the northern portion of the Sierra. Oregon, Idaho, and Wyoming. There they could pick up an additional 1 to 2 feet of snow in parts of Northern California, really adding to what they've already seen this past weekend. Meanwhile, out east, things have been pretty quiet. It's been more of a numbers game. St. Louis, Detroit, and Buffalo all in for near record highs tomorrow afternoon. Lindsay?
Enjoying the warmth today.
This morning, a fire raging near a nuclear weapons plant as out-of-control wildfires swept through the Texas Panhandle.
Let's pull out. We got too many spots. Pulling out. Pull out. Everybody pull out.
And the state's governor issuing a disaster declaration. Concerns growing about the Pantex plant near Amarillo, a nuclear weapons assembly facility. With an uncontained fire nearby, the plant suspending operations overnight. Workers back on site this morning.
We are continuing and will continue on tonight to ensure that Pantex plant is protected and safe.
Strong winds and dry conditions fueling widespread blazes throughout the state. Meanwhile, wild weather continuing in the Midwest, with reported tornadoes in Illinois and Michigan. The dangerous storms splintering structures, leaving them in pieces. It's already been a wild weather week for millions nationwide.
To have this kind of dramatic swing that we're having with this wild 55-degree temperature swing, maybe, that's what makes this really unique.
With more than 100 cities hitting daily record highs this week, including typically chilly Rochester, New York, which tied for its warmest February temperature ever, recorded at 73 degrees.
There should be 12 inches of snow on the ground.
Some anglers in Missouri even out fishing, not on ice, as extreme weather wreaks havoc for millions across the country.
And later today, teams from the National Weather Service heading out across the region to assess the damage. They want to determine whether or not uprooted trees like this one was caused by a tornado or something else. Back to you.
All right, Adrian brought us for us there covering that weather story. Adrian, thank you.
Got Al out on the road this morning. He is tracking the storm and what
brought us for us there covering that weather story. Adrian, thank you.
Got Al out on the road this morning. He is tracking the storm and what is next? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. We've got a lot of wild weather to talk about, as Adrian just kind of told you. Let's show you what's happening right now. We're looking at the radar, and it is fired up. And in fact, we have tornado watches now through 9 a.m., stretching from the Kentucky all the way up into Ohio. We may have had a tornado just outside of Dayton, Ohio, Springfield, Ohio. We're watching that as well. Storms rumble across the Ohio-Tennessee Valley today into tonight. Evening delays, airports and roads, I-95 from Boston to Washington, D.C. Back behind it, some light snow, heavier rain, rainfall rates up to 1 inch per hour. So it's going to be a real mess. Plus that temperature, the winds are going to be a big problem from coast to coast. 135 million people under high wind watches, high wind warnings as well. And the temperature plunges.
I talk live. Thank you for your time. And what is going on in Woodward County, and how are you all preparing for these massive fires that could be, hopefully not, headed your way?
You bet, Abigail. We were actually preparing for an evacuation of the town of Fort Supply in far northwest part of Woodward County. Of course, that's all in northwest Oklahoma, far northwest Oklahoma. Had that wind shift, and right now winds are out the north 40 plus miles an hour, gusts 50 plus that we're fighting right now. That has steered the fire straight south. So Ellis County, which borders Texas, the Panhandle, that fire is about 4/5 away across the width of Ellis County, moving straight south. So right now we've got 2 towns right in the path of this fire. We cannot stop it. We're throwing everything at it we've got, but we're helping Riley Latta, the emergency manager there in Ellis County, and run the logistics for him here.
Let's look at Chile now. The authorities there say wildfires raging in the center of the country have now killed at least 112 people. An official said there were still 40 active fires across Chile. Earlier, the president warned that the number of confirmed dead was likely to rise significantly. Emergency teams have been struggling to control the fires, which have spread rapidly across the Valparaiso region. The forest fires are thought to be the deadliest was started deliberately. Henna Handel is a delegate to the UN climate change conferences. She told us that these fires have been devastating.
In situations like these, the one known is that there's so much unknown, and more information will be made available hour by hour. You know, it was announced initially that there were 99 deaths accounted for, and now that number has risen.
Bloomfield, Michigan, 1942. As World War II rages across several continents, acclaimed architect and eventual designer of the St. Louis Arch, Eero Saarinen, is secretly enlisted by the United States military to work for a new clandestine organization. Its name? The OSS, Office of Strategic Services, or as it is known today, the CIA.
The fact that Eero Saarinen was in the OSS designing weapon systems during World War II, and at a time when the OSS was looking into ways to weaponize weather, makes his whole connection to the design of the St. Louis Arch extremely interesting. Now, that isn't to say I believe it can control the weather, but it does open the door to the idea that it might have been one of the things Saarinen was out to achieve.